Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
I am questioning the Philadelphia Eagles. I am confused. I am concerned. Why is it taking so long for this offensive coordinator hire? Why are there so many jobs that have not been filled yet? And I feel as if people around the NFL look at the Eagles in a different way than we would expect them to. But why is that? Do they question Howie Roseman? Do they question Doug Pederson? For college coaches to be interviewed and to say, I'd rather stay at USC rather than make the jump up to the NFL as an offensive coordinator, whether they call the plays or not, this is your in. This is your opportunity to jump into the professional leagues. Why would you go back to USC? That doesn't make any sense. Then you look at what happened with Baltimore. Urban, there's a guy the Eagles want to hire. He's taking a step up in terms of jobs. He's going from position coach to a coordinator. No, thank you, I'll stay in Baltimore. You also have Kansas City, Kafka. No, thank you, I'll stay in Kansas City. There are just way too many questions going around right now when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and this hire. I feel like they don't have any game plan. I feel like the structure is flawed. And I feel like there are people out there that question the Eagles as a whole because it doesn't make sense. There's no way the whole, because Doug Pederson calls the plays, I don't want to be there. Because think about it, Frank Reich, he sure got a job opportunity from not calling plays. He became the head coach of the Colts. Doug Pederson became the head coach of the Eagles when he was the offensive coordinator in Kansas City when Andy Reid was there. There are so many examples of coaches that end up getting hired even though they weren't the play caller. Being an offensive coordinator is such a big deal, no matter if you call the plays or not. I wonder if, I truly mean this, I wonder if, because of the way the Eagles treat their position coaches, and because of the way things went down with Mike Groh and the pressure of the fan base and being so criticized, I wonder if people really question if they want to be here in Philadelphia based off of the way position coaches get canned year after year, the way the fan base looks at these coordinators, and this is reality. It's either you're doing a horrendous job and screw you, we want you out of town, or Doug Pederson gets all the praise. I'm just trying to process on why people would not want to take an OC job here in Philadelphia, especially if they are coming from a college rank. We just watched it happen with USC. Graham Harrell. I mean, really? Here's your chance to be in the NFL, something you probably dreamed of for years. Now, maybe he thinks he's not ready. Maybe he thinks, I don't know, that's too much of a big jump. But that's not right. That's me just trying to convince myself that's what's happening. The only thing that makes sense, the most sense to me, they don't want to be here. And there's a reason why they don't want to be here. That, though, what it actually is, why they don't want to be here, that I don't know. But the only thing I can say is potentially management and Doug Pederson, because that's the only thing. There is a lot to question when it comes to this specific situation. But before we question it even more, we need to hear a word from my sponsor, SeatGeek. Are you looking for money off when buying tickets to go to any event, a concert, a game? If you use the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page, you will receive $20 off of your total purchase. It's a no-brainer. Use the promo code BROADS today. Now, you're hearing things about Josh McCown potentially being quarterback's coach or even offensive coordinator. How? How is that a thing? How is it even possible to have that discussion? I know he's a good teammate. I know he's a good football mind, but don't tell me he deserves it more than Deuce Staley. Don't tell me he deserves it more than somebody else who's already been involved with coaching at the NFL level. I like Josh McCown. I like the fact that he battled. I would love for him to be a quarterback's coach. Absolutely. There's an opportunity for him. No way in hell should he deserve to be thrown right into offensive coordinator. No way. Press Taylor? No way. I don't want Press Taylor. Now, he at least has some experience, but I don't want him. No. If you're going to go in-house, the answer is Deuce Staley. Is it not? It absolutely is. But there's no way that Deuce is the guy they want, but they're going to talk to other people just to see. Because if that's the case, he would already be here. Deuce would already be hired. I mean, he's already here. He would already be hired. It wouldn't go on this long. I am concerned that the Eagles have no clue what they're trying to do. No clue at all. What is their agenda? What is the direction they're going? What is it? And I even heard Sal Paolantonio talking about it, and he thinks the Eagles have no idea on who to hire. They don't know. They're talking to guys in college. They're going for the young guru type approach. And then they're going to Kansas City. They're going to Baltimore. They have Deuce Staley sitting here. They have no idea on the way they want to approach this. And it seems like that is true. Now watch, as soon as I post this, there's going to be breaking news that the Eagles hire their new coordinator, because that's just how things work. But it's been so long, and there's no way they're being smart about this, getting all of the information that they can. I'm not buying that crap. I'm not buying it. They're not being smart about this approach. People are openly staying where they are now instead of taking a jump in their career. Does that not say something? In a business so brutal, in a spot where getting that chance is so rare and so small, and here's the door opening up for you. And oh, by the way, this is a team that just won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. This is a place where you have a head coach that won a Super Bowl. You have Carson Wentz, who is looked upon as a really good talent in this league. What is drawing people away? Because when you look at it, full picture, and you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, this isn't the Cleveland Browns. People are accepting Cleveland Brown jobs. Now, why is that? But they're saying no to the Eagles? Like, my point is, the Eagles are a franchise and an organization that is respected throughout the league. You have way worse spots hiring people, and then you can argue that the people they hire seem to fail all the time, so maybe they're just jumping at the bits to finally accept something, as if the Browns aren't hiring the best people. So to say they're at least hiring people doesn't make much sense if they're not hiring good people. And that's fair. That's a fair argument. But that doesn't stop the conversation when it comes to why are the Eagles taking so long to get a person they want. I'm not buying that they are going through this process slowly so they can talk to a bunch of people, so they can gather all this information, so they can make an educated decision. I'm not buying it. I think that there is a reason why it's taking that long. People are continuously saying they're staying where they're put instead of coming here. Is it a Doug Pederson thing? Is it a Jim Schwartz thing? Although it wouldn't make sense to be a Jim Schwartz thing because that's the defensive side of the ball. But I wonder if there's a rumor going around, or maybe not even a rumor, maybe it's a real thing, that these people are hard to work with, that Howie Roseman's hard to work with, that Doug Pederson is hard to work with, which seems ridiculous, right? I know, I'm with you. I feel the same way. How could Doug Pederson be hard to work with? But there is a reason. And it upsets me. And if I'm Deuce, someone who potentially could be landing this job, if I hear about it, or at least get offered weeks from now, I know deep down that I wasn't the first option. They went around and discussed and talked all over the place before they hired me. Now, coaches do talk. So I wonder if maybe they do know that Deuce is their option that they want to hire, but they're just going out there to talk to people, and everybody knows that Deuce is the one that's going to be hired, and all the other interviews are fugazi, if you will. But once again, that's me just reaching, trying to convince myself that maybe that's the possibility. But I know what the possibility is. I do, deep down. It's no one wants to be here. And that scares me, and that concerns me, and I don't know what they're going to do about it. So we're just going to have to wait and see how much longer this process takes and see who else they interview and whatnot. As of today, I see a report that it looks like the defensive back coach might be Manuel, who was once the defensive coordinator in Atlanta, and that's a possibility for the DB coaching hire. of course, let me say this. Of course, it means a lot to have good position coaches. And we moved on from the wide receiver coach. We move on from the DB coach. There are still other things to figure out when it comes to this team. None of those will move the needle as much as the OC. And realistically, we all know it's Doug Peterson's offense anyway, and it is. But Doug always needs help. He does. He's not the smartest man in the world. He needs help when it comes to his offense. The OC is very important. I am very interested in what they do with the defensive backs coach. I'm very interested in what they do with the wide receiver coach. No doubt about it, because I think there needs to be an upgrade. But that doesn't move the needle as much as what this OC job will be for me. That's just me personally. I think there's tremendous value in position coaches and what they're going to do in specific spots. But here's the thing. I am worried about the offensive coordinator right now. It's still weird, though, that other positions have not been filled. It's not as if it's just the OC that's empty. There are a ton of spots wide open, and so many different spots on the field when it comes to coaching. How is nothing being figured out yet? Well, I might as well talk about this as well. When it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, there is a report out there from respected people within the media, and it discusses people who may not be returning next year. Now, this is not 100% true, but they are respected people who are putting it out there. So, the tweet states, sources say very familiar faces may not be returning to the Eagles. Ronald Darby. That's fine. I thought that was a realistic thing. He stinks. He was getting burnt, and he was consistently getting hurt as well. Nelson Aguilar. Yeah, I think that was a reality as well. His time has totally come and gone, no doubt about it. And he's very interesting to talk about because I always ask this question. Was he a bust? And the answer instantly is always yes. But here's the thing. He had one season that was unbelievable, and he won a Super Bowl. And he was a huge part of that Super Bowl. Not just a good season that went to the NFC Championship, to the Super Bowl. We might not have won the Super Bowl without Nelson Aguilar. If you remember, he was insane that year. He had an insane Super Bowl. So a lot of people instantly, their answer is yes, he is a complete bust. But I don't know if he was a complete bust because he was so big and so crucial in a role for one season, which ultimately brought us the biggest prize possession that we have been waiting for forever. So it's just a very interesting conversation to have. But anyway, Alshon Jeffrey. Wow. Now, I've been saying get rid of this guy. He's a cancer in the locker room. He's a problem. I can't say he hasn't produced because I still think he has something left in the table in terms of just being able to catch a football, and this team has had problems with just catching the football, so I'm not going to say he hasn't been able to produce it all, but he did get injured. I think it comes down to the problem with the locker room, Carson Wentz, the drama, the reports, the people who gave the reports to the public, and the relationship between Alshon and Josina Anderson at the end of the day. So, but interesting because that will be a problem when it comes to the cap and the dead money, and he's injured, but they can potentially get rid of him if they are willing to pay him. I believe I did hear that report that it is possible to cut him right off the bat, even though he's injured, if they are willing to pay him all of his money. So we'll see. And if that is not true, if the person I heard it from was wrong, but it was a person that is highly respected, then they will figure it out another way. But it's just interesting to hear Alshon Jeffrey's name in the mix as well. Tim Jernigan. Okay, I thought maybe they could slap another one-year deal in there if they wanted to and have Fletcher Cox and have Malik Jackson, someone we're totally going to forget about, right, because he didn't play at all last year for the most part. I thought if you could slap in a one-year deal, why not, for some depth, but he is getting older, and this team is trying to get obnoxiously younger, so it does make sense. And Vitai's name's in there because of him getting a job as a starter somewhere, getting big-time money where the Eagles realistically won't be able to keep him for that type of dough, and it makes a lot of sense because he can start in this league. Isn't that crazy? He can start in this league. We're talking about Vitai now. Unbelievable. And here's the last name that was on the list. You ready for this? Malcolm Jenkins. Yeah, I know. I was shocked when I saw that name as well. And here's the thing. I don't believe that would be the right move based off of what he brings to the table in the locker room. Here's the thing, because we're all so in this rage of getting younger, I think they're going to make the wrong decision with Malcolm Jenkins. We need to get younger, and we do have a lot of holes to fill. I think you keep Malcolm Jenkins here, fix the other issues, keep Malcolm involved, and then from there you move on while you got younger in so many other positions, while you still draft a safety that will play behind Malcolm Jenkins and learn the role through him. You keep Malcolm, you get younger everywhere else. If you want to get younger on the line, get younger with cornerbacks, get younger with wide receivers, you keep Malcolm, and by the time you build up those other players and you get younger at safety as well, and by the time he weaves out, you're good to go. He's playing every snap. He's playing special teams. He's so versatile. And in the locker room, you can't replace it. You can't replace it. And I actually heard the argument that he might hurt Carson Wentz when it comes to being a leader in the locker room, and I completely disagree. The quarterback owns the locker room, no matter what team you're on. But on the defensive side of the ball, there's always players that are the leaders. If Malcolm Jenkins was to leave, it would be Fletcher Cox. It would be Fletcher Cox that had the same type of voice as Malcolm Jenkins. Even though he still has a strong voice now, Fletcher does, someone will always be leading the defense, and that doesn't take away from what Carson Wentz brings to the table as a leader, as a quarterback. So it's just very interesting to hear those names. The only one that really surprises me is Malcolm Jenkins, and the second mini surprise would be Alshon, just because of the contract stuff. I thought it was obvious that they would try and get rid of him or move him somehow, but because of the injury and because of the contract, it would be a little tough to maneuver, but it doesn't mean it's totally thrown out the window when it's impossible. It will be interesting to see how the Eagles do this. Now, the Pro Bowl's on Sunday. You got Lane Johnson there, Fletcher Cox there, and come on. Who cares about the Pro Bowl? Really, who cares about the Pro Bowl? I wouldn't. It's a joke. I can't watch that garbage. Who's going to watch that? Really? There's no way you can find it entertaining to watch the Pro Bowl. They don't do anything. What do they do? It's a fake game. I'd rather see, I don't know, I think maybe the skills competition part was more entertaining. Watching them play dodgeball, watching them do all these other things, watching the quarterbacks throw the ball, watching Lamar Jackson miss all the targets, but Russell Wilson dropping in every single target. Elite way to do it. An elite way to do it. I find that more entertaining than the fake game that they play. Am I wrong? I have the itch for the Super Bowl. Believe it or not, I didn't think I would, but the matchup has me going. Being in the Philadelphia area with Andy Reid has me going. I'm all in. I am all in on the Andy Reid hype. I want him to win so bad. I didn't really think I would, but I do. I really do. I root for him to an obnoxious degree in this one. I really want him to bring it home. And it might have something to do with the family member that I was once very close with, and he passed away, and he was the one that helped me get into football, and he would watch the Eagles all the time. He would throw the football around when I was 5 or 6 years old, and at that time, Andy Reid was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, and maybe it's just because of the bond we had due to football, and Andy Reid was in the mix during that time. Maybe that is why it's there, but there's a strong feeling in my stomach where I am really rooting for Andy Reid to get the job done, because he's such a great coach, and he has everything on that resume except for the ultimate trophy. But it's going to be a great game, and we'll talk about the Super Bowl more without a doubt. It came up to my mind because the Pro Bowl is this Sunday, and it should be real football. That's fake football. That's not real football. I'm just curious if people actually watch that, because I can't even pretend that it will be entertaining to sit through a Pro Bowl. And here's another thing when it comes to that. It's almost as if some of these people who get elected, it's fake. It's fake. Oh, this guy's in the Super Bowl, and this guy's in the Super Bowl, so here's a spot open, and hey, we'll throw it to him. But that doesn't make sense, right? It's like a fake Pro Bowl for some of these players. Not all, but for the late edition people. Now, when you're done your career, you can say, oh, I made it to 8 Pro Bowls, and no one goes, oh, yeah, but actually, wasn't one of those when someone was in the Super Bowl and you got slid in there? It never happens that way. So I'm sure when people are done with their career, it's a little bit different than in the moment when you are asked to go. I don't know how I got so sidetracked into the garbage Pro Bowl. So let's bring it all together here and end it like this. I don't know what the Eagles are doing. I don't know why people don't want to be here. I am concerned on why college coaches are staying put. I am concerned with why the Ravens coach is staying where he is, where the Chiefs coach, Kafka, is staying where he is. Like, why is that happening? Because in the NFL, when you have an opportunity to get a job, to advance in your career, you take that, even if it doesn't come down to play calling. Because when you look around the league, Doug Pederson became a head coach. Frank Reich became a head coach. Why? Is it the fan base? Is it the fact that we are harsh? Is it the fact that you will get no credit if it succeeds, but you will be destroyed if it doesn't work? Is it because the way this organization treat their position coaches and treat their coordinators, and it's like, hey, you're gone, it didn't work. Not so much with the coordinators as a whole, because yeah, it happened with Mike Groh. I guess I'm just thinking of Mike Groh as an example. Jim Schwartz has been here for a while. They don't normally go through coordinators every single year. More position coaches, yes, but is that playing a role when it comes to people not wanting to be here? It's very odd to me, because when you look at the roster, when you look at the coach, when you look at the GM, when you look at the organization, it's not the Cleveland Browns. It's not some of these dumpster fire organizations. You can name a lot of worse organizations than the Eagles out there that are getting the people that they want to get. And not all of them are bad. Not all of them are. Some might be, but not all of them. So what's taking the Eagles so long? I'm so curious to see who ends up coming here in Philadelphia to be the OC. Because now, because it's taken so long, because so many people seem to stay put, now you really stare at whatever hire becomes the guy. You really have the binoculars on him, look him up and down and go, okay, what is this guy all about? Why is he the guy? Why did they choose him? And I hope the answer is Deuce Staley. Now, we won't have to do too much binocular looking if it is Deuce Staley, but that will tell me they didn't get who they wanted to get. Because if they truthfully wanted Deuce, he would have been hired already. So if they do hire Deuce, I don't know if I am satisfied at this point, because I do think he deserves it. Let me get that out there. I think he deserves it and he should be the guy. But if they do hire him, I'm disappointed, because that tells me they didn't get who they wanted to get and they're just going with, all right, let's go with Deuce. And that concerns me even more. So let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.